Ever since the Pokemon series has made its jump to the Nintendo Switch platform, it has been a rocky mess. Fans are really mixed about the recent games like Sword and Shield and Scarlet and Violet. Wait a minute, didn't Sword and Shield come out in 2019? That's not recent, that was 6 years ago. Holy crap, it's been 6 years. And it doesn't help that Nintendo and Game Freak have been making some very strange choices. I would like to remind everyone that PETA has 2 Pokemon parody games that just accuse Pokemon of promoting animal cruelty. These games have been up for over 10 years now, so the fact they choose to go after a game that just kinda does its own thing is insane. Okay, before I talk about the game, let me just say something real quick, cause holy crap, this game is... oh boy. For starters, I'm not a hardcore Pokemon fan. I only started playing the games after Pokemon came to the Nintendo Switch platform. So if I fail to understand something because I'm not a real Pokemon fan, sorry I guess. Look, I just want a fun game where you can collect cool looking monsters. Yokai Watch is MIA and I only now just started playing Digimon. Second, in this video, I might say some things you disagree with, and that's fine. I don't really like talking about controversial stuff on the channel, but yeah, this game is a big old mess, but in this mess, there's some stuff I enjoy. So it doesn't matter what I say, cause I know regardless, I'm gonna piss someone off. Just know these are my opinions, and you do not have to agree. If you like the game, fine. If you hate the game, fine. This is just me being honest about the game. Okay, so for this video, I played a game. Duh! And I took notes on stuff I liked about the game, things I didn't like about the game, and stuff that just stood out to me. So here we go. Also, spoilers, so don't get mad if I didn't warn you. Upon starting our game, we actually have a lot of options when it comes to customizing our character. Later on, there's even shops we can visit to buy outfits with more color variety. This is a major step up from Scarlet and Violet, which I remember not having much options when it comes to colors of the outfits in the game. After finishing our character, we watch a cutscene which does look really good. It shows something strange happening to the Prism Tower. We eventually arrive in Lumino City, and yeah, the issues with the game is already coming out. NPCs are already having pop-in issues, and look, maybe it's because I bought the original Switch version and not the Switch 2 version, but this is actually something I don't like about Switch 2 games. Why are we locking performance updates behind a paywall?
Money!
Look, I'm not one that usually complains about frames per second or pop-ins in games as long as it doesn't affect the core gameplay. But I'm not gonna lie when I say charging $10 extra to make the gameplay slightly better is kinda dumb. Kirby and the Forgotten Land did something similar, but not only is that game 3 years old now, but the performance update came out with the DLC. A DLC that most fans are going to be interested in. With Legends ZA, you don't have much of a reason to buy the Switch 2 version. Sure, the game may perform slightly better, but it still looks the same, and don't worry, I'll talk about those PS1 models soon. We arrive in Luminos and meet Urbane, or in my case, Tawny. Wait a minute. Urbane, Tawny, oh, you sneaky little. We also get robbed by a Pancham. Jeez, even in Pokemon, the streets are rough. We chase down the Pancham and now we get to choose our starter. Okay, so this is definitely going to be one of those opinions I had that might piss some people off, but me personally, I did not care about the starter selection in this game. I don't hate these starters. In fact, after playing through Legends EA, I have more of respect for them. They just so happen to be my least favorite starters. Not to mention, we already had starters from Gen 2 and Gen 4 in Legends Arceus, so why are we using them again? Hi, Edit Ninja here. I totally forgot that the reason these starters were probably chosen is because the other starters were either too recent or they probably already had a form, so they probably weren't qualified for the list. So that's my bad. So just take my words with a grain of salt. At least it gave me a opportunity to not be biased and use Pokemon I would normally ignore. This is where we also start our first battle. For those who don't know, unlike the traditional turn-based combat from Legends EA and I guess the games before, this game is more of an action-like combat system. Not gonna lie, this took time to get used to. I'm not gonna say it's for everyone, but after using it, I did kind of like this new change, and I'll talk about the battles later. After defeating Poe's long-lost son, we get our stuff back and we get to keep our starter. That's when it turns dark and we find our way lost in the battle zones where a Z through A battle royale takes place. I was joking about the rough neighborhood, but these Pokemon trainers were actually ready to jump us. But never fear, Floetta is here. What's she gonna do though? Oh. We arrive at Hotel Z where we are offered to stay for free by this kind fella named AZ. AZ, now that sounds like someone that can deal with his problems in a healthy way. We also decide to join Tawny's team for the Battle Royale, in other words, Team MZ. Okay, so that was the intro. There's some stuff I skipped over, but we'll get to that soon. I guess when it comes to setting the game up, it was a decent intro. It didn't take too long to choose a starter. We got into the new mechanics real quick. And I kind of like Tawny or Urbane as a ally. Now let's talk about the different categories I made for this video, because there's not really an order. Well, kinda there is, but just watch the video. Pokemon Legends ZA looks terrible. Thanks for watching. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, this game looks bad. The moment you step into Luminos, it's very noticeable how low effort the buildings look. And again, normally I don't care about this stuff, but mind you, this game is like $60 to $70. Stuff like this makes it hard to say I kinda like this game. Some will say, well, you don't play Pokemon for the graphics, and yeah, I agree. Pokemon is probably one of the last games I'll play for the graphics. However, that's not a good excuse to just not care about the game you're charging for over $50. Like, bro, I played much cheaper games that put more effort into making their games look presentable. There is no excuse for this. And this game came out after Scarlet and Violet, a game that I already considered ugly, but geez, you're supposed to improve. At least the character models look good, I guess. There's some decently animated cutscenes that feel kinda lifeless because there's no voice acting. Okay, so another hot take, but I think it's about time Pokemon gets some voice acting. Maybe it's because I grew up with Yokai Watch and in that series everyone has a voice, but when characters talk it feels so lifeless in this game. I'm not saying I would want full voice acting, though that would be nice, but maybe when a character speaks you'll hear like a catchphrase or something. Maybe do something like Banjo and Kazooie. When characters speak they have that. Like, look at Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door for Nintendo Switch. In that game, different characters had unique sound effects for when they spoke. This applied to both major characters and NPCs. All Game Freak has to do is just do that for the human characters and boom, it changes so much. Okay, I got another hot take straight out the oven. Legends ZA feels like a weak attempt at an open world game. When I bought the game, I did not even realize it was supposed to be open world. And it doesn't help that at the beginning of the game, it's really hand-holding. During like the first 2 hours, the game is constantly holding your hand, not offering much room to explore. There's invisible walls everywhere. Every time you try to explore, the game will go like, no, I don't want you to do that right now. I understand. For an open world game to work, the player needs the tools they need before they're allowed to run around and start experimenting. Now mind you, I haven't played that many open world games, so I'm sure this isn't the worst one in the genre, but in my opinion, this is probably one of the weakest ones I played. When a game gives me the right tools, I want to explore. I don't care if there's a scary looking horseman on the mountain, let me fight him. Let me determine if he's strong or not. When Legends ZA isn't holding your hand, Luminos does offer some stuff. You can find shops and restaurants everywhere. There's even something wholesome about just sitting down and having a nice meal with your Pokemon. Speaking of the Pokemon, their moves are useful outside of battle. While TMs could be used outside of battle before, this is definitely more in the direction I would like to see it in. Stuff like using fire to burn down a tree or using electricity to power on a machine is something I want to see more in the Pokemon games. Your Rotom phone can even be used as a gliding device. What's cool about this is you can actually use this to glide across rooftops or even take on these little parkour challenges. The last thing I'll ever think Pokemon would try to do is platforming, but these are kind of cool. You take on these little challenges, you get rewarded a rainbow screw, and you can use these screws to buy upgrades. You know, Luminos is honestly a chill place, but then I realized most of the game takes place in Luminos, the same city with these flat, ironed out textures. I was honestly disappointed when I realized this because I feel like the idea of a game taking place in an urban city could encourage better game design. You know, the idea of just giving yourself a limitation so you can come up with better concepts for your game. Maybe exploring a water park filled with water Pokemon or exploring a creepy parking lot with ghost types. Just look at Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Wow, that's 2 times I brought this game up in this video. In this game, each world has its own theme, but each level managed to stand out by having their own theme while sticking to the theme of the world. Just look at the first world. First, you're going through a city. Then you're going through the tunnels. Then you're back in the city, but you're trying to avoid getting crushed by some boulders. And then you're at a mall. I promise you, if Luminos did not give me the ability to teleport, I would be lost. And there are 2 unique dungeons that take place in the game, and they shockingly look kinda good, even though Luminos itself kinda looks like crap. There is something I kinda grew to love. It's like a love-hate thing. In Luminos, wild zones are set up for the wild Pokemon to roam free. But let's be honest here, it's just so people can have a better opportunity to catch some Pokemon. Now for real though, it's actually fun to catch Pokemon in this game. Just like in Legends Arceus, if you want to catch a Pokemon, you no longer have to battle them. All you have to do is just throw a Pokeball at them. It's mainly about sneaking up on the Pokemon and getting a good hit on them. However, if you fail to catch them, the Pokemon will become aware and start fighting you. And to make sure you're not just throwing Pokeballs the whole time, Pokemon will become aggro and you actually do have to fight them. That or you can just walk away. And what's nice about this game is you no longer have to worry about knocking out a Pokemon you don't have. By chance, if you knock out a Pokemon, you'll actually get one last chance to catch them. I will touch on battles later, but since you're no longer in traditional battles, the ability to just say, you know what, fuck this, and just walk away is not only funny, but it makes the game really fun. Game Freak, out of everything to take from the Legends games and add to the mainline games, please add this. I swear Scarlet and Violet had too many issues of constantly getting into a battle because too many Pokemon were on screen. Each wild zone has its own list of Pokemon to catch, and there's even a hidden Pokemon that you have to really think outside the box if you want them to spawn. Take Pichu for example. To get Pichu, you need to go to the first wild zone. You can find Pichu hanging out in his own section, but you need to break these rocks first to even reach him. And what's cool is you get rewarded TMs for finding different Pokemon, and just like in previous games, TMs have infinite use. Even the alpha Pokemon are back, and this is what I like to see. You're given an option to take these guys on whenever you think you are ready, and you're given the opportunity to catch them. It's a shame that the alpha Pokemon lose their red eyes when you catch them though. They even made shiny Pokemon somewhat easy to catch in this game. I managed to catch a shiny Pidgey, but of course me being an idiot, I forgot to hit the record button. However, I do have some issues with the wild zones, and it comes down to Luminos taking place in a city. Some wild zones do stand out, I guess, like the graveyard or the snow. Wait. They just covered part of Luminos in snow. Oh, come on, that's the best they can do? I mean, I guess it stands out. Another issue I have is some of the wild zones feel a bit too small, which is a shame because I like exploring them and looking for different Pokemon. At night, a battle royale takes place where different trainers can challenge you. I really like how these are handled. When we first appear in a battle zone, I was questioning, wait a minute, is this Persona? The fun part is avoiding getting spotted by the different trainers. Each time you defeat a trainer, you're rewarded some tickets, and when you have enough, you can take on what are basically the gym leaders of the game. There are even cards you can collect that will give you mini objectives like defeating Pokemon with a certain type. If you're trying to get some quick easy cash, cause let's be honest, you're gonna go broke after going through the clothing options in the game, I recommend doing the battle zones cause not only are they fun, but it's a good way to make some money. Oh yeah, I forgot. Let me talk about the semi-gym leaders of the game. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't care about them at first, but towards the end game, I actually started to like them, and I like how each of them have their own assistant. At first, I was gonna say Kanari was my least favorite because I did not like her trial that we had to do for her, but I ended up changing my mind because this psychopath appeared. I was honestly having fun making my way up to rank A, but then the game suddenly decides to bump you up to rank E. I found this disappointing because I was having fun with the system, but I do understand why. Some players might have found it annoying having to go from Z to A, plus there is a bit of story reason why they have to do that, but it sucks. I didn't like it. Okay, one of the reasons I was looking forward to this game is the new battle system. While modern Pokemon games have been adding gimmicks to keep things fresh, Legend ZA changes the whole system by turning it into an action RPG. Forget taking turns, you will attack when you feel like it. Like I said before, this took time to get used to, but I actually started having fun with the new system. Battles feel a lot more fast now, and thanks to all the TMs you will be unlocking, you actually get full range to experiment with the different Pokemon moves. Pokemon no longer have PP. That kind of sounds wrong out of context. What I mean is Pokemon moves now have an infinite use, but now they have a cooldown time. A lot of moves feel a lot different now, in a good way and in a bad way. Two of my favorite moves, U-Turn and Volt Switch, did get nerfed sadly, but at the same time it does make sense. There's no longer turns and you can just call out a Pokemon when you feel like it. But wait a minute, this is a Legends game, meaning the Pokemon can attack you, the player. Believe me when I tell you, some of these Pokemon are ready to throw hands at you. Like for real, a lot of Pokemon will just chase you to the gate and try to attack you through the gate. This is the Pokemon equivalent of those crazy dogs that live in that one house in the neighborhood. This is also the game to return the fan favorite Mega Evolution gimmick. At the time of me recording this, I haven't gotten all the Mega Evolutions yet, but here's some of the more noticeable ones. Mega Vitribell is really goofy and it does fit the whole Bellsprout line so well. I like the concept of Mega Feraligatr, but oh boy, execution is interesting. As someone that grew up with the Yokai Watch series, seeing Frostglass go further with the Yokai mythology is just really nice. Look at this Aura Farm. Phalanx is a Pokemon I adore, but it always felt like it was missing something, so I'm glad it has a Mega Evolution. Wait, it took this long to give Hawlucha a Mega? I mean, then again, he was already perfect. Why mess with perfection, am I right? This is just a stretched out picture of Starmie. Wait, this is the official design. Okay, but for real though, this could have been a lot better, but I adore stupid stuff like this. Someone presented this Patrick Star-ass design and it somehow got through. Okay, I understand that Mega Pyroar's mane is supposed to represent a kanji symbol, but this design ain't it. There's somehow too much yet too little going on. When it comes to unlocking the Mega Evolutions, I like how it works. There are these crystals all across Luminos, and by the time you unlock Quasartico, you should have enough to start buying Mega Stones. You can also buy Mega Stones from the Stone Imperium, but Jesus man, I need to load up those battle zones again because I'm about to be broke again, jeez. There's also one last way to get Mega Stones in this game, and it's probably the cheapest way. I am really happy modern Pokemon has been adding more traditional boss fights. Don't get me wrong, I love gym leaders and the personalities they bring to the table, but having these intense boss fights keeps the game from being boring. And when I mean intense, I mean actually having to dodge unique attacks. In these boss fights, you gotta dodge tons of attacks and use Mega Evolutions to deal big damage. I'm gonna be honest though, these are some really difficult fights, like Hawlucha was such a pain. I might even say these are better than the boss fights in Legends Arceus just because your Pokemon are more involved in the fight. Upon defeating a Rogue Mega Evolution, we are rewarded a Mega Stone. I brought up a few characters before, so I guess I should continue where I left off. Tawny or Urbane is the first person we meet when we arrive in Luminos. They are also the ones to give us the starter Pokemon. I like how whichever starters you don't choose, they get both of them. I'm not sure if that ever happens in a previous game, but it's a nice change of pace. You can also say they act as your guide in this game, which does make sense because they do work at Hotel Z, something they're really passionate about. They're not only determined to help AZ, but they're also determined to protect Luminos from the rogue Mega Evolutions. And at the end of every mission, they will make this Tower of Curry. I'm not gonna lie though, later in the game, I started to just get annoyed at this character. I understand that a good character needs flaws, but geez. Not only does Tawny get mixed up in what's basically the mafia, but during that whole time we're trying to pay her debt, she goes missing. Lyda is another character that's a part of the main cast. She's also a dancer in training. Every time she goes into battle, she looks like she's about to record a TikTok. Her partner is a Staryu, and after seeing what Staryu can become, yeah, they're made for each other. Naveen is another character that's a part of the main cast, and he's probably my favorite out of the major characters. He's moody and gloomy, and he's also a fashion influencer. He will even gift us a fedora when we first meet him. Thanks, I now look like a Reddit mod. He's also obsessed with this streamer named Kanari, and he might just be her #1 fan. He also has Scraggy as a partner, which is honestly fitting. I also just vibe with him because instead of eating that tower of curry, he just eats a sandwich. AZ is one of the characters returning from X and Y. Oh yeah, I forgot. This game takes place 5 years after X and Y. AZ is, well, for starters, he's tall as fuck. And he's over 3,000 years old, and I gotta say, for being over 3,000, he's not looking half bad. You would think by now he looked like that old lady from the SpongeBob chocolate episode.
You just can't wait for me to die, can you?
There is a reason behind his tallness and his age. You see, long ago there was a war between Pokemon and his Floetta got hurt and passed away. After restoring his dead friend back to life, you would think he'll be happy, but no, he was pissed. Floetta realized that the machine that brought her back to life was powered by Pokemon's life force. But not only that, but she realized her friend was a psychopath, so she said, peace out. Years after X and Y, Floetta and AZ are cool again, and now they run a hotel together. You know what? Cut out all the crazy war and destroying the world stuff. This sounds like a chill sitcom about an old man and his Pokemon running a hotel. Emma is another returning character from X and Y. Emma was an orphan that was being taken care of by Detective Looker. 5 years later, she's now running the detective agency. She's kind of like Tawny or Urbane in a way, and how they teach you about mega evolutions and side quests. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention there's side quests in this game, but besides the ones that give you good rewards, I just kind of ignore some of them. Mabel is another returning character from X and Y. Before, she worked as a scientist for Team Flare. In Legend ZA, she acts as the director for the Pokemon Research Lab, where she is researching Pokemon's life force. Convenient. She acts as the professor in this game. She will reward you TMs for filling out the Pokédex, and she'll even give you a Gen 1 starter later. L is a big old loser. Nah, that was actually mean. L is actually Lysandre from X and Y, and after Bro tried to use AZ's weapon, he got affected by the weapon, and he was presumably saved by Zygarde. Not only did he lose his iconic hair, but he seems to be suffering from amnesia now. I honestly enjoy how they brought this villain back. He's going through karma for what he was trying to do, and he's kinda got the same punishment as AZ. Corbeau is the leader of the Rust Syndicate. You end up working for him after Tawny or Urbane ended up taking a loan from him. He may come across as strict and stern, but after working with him a bit, he's actually kind of respectable. Also, his design really reminds me of Carmine and Kyran from Scarlet and Violet. Jason is probably one of the most insane Pokemon trainers. This lady is not only abusive towards her staff, but she sets up traps to force people around her to participate in her tournament. The only reason I just don't want to punch her is because she probably has the best battle theme in the whole game, in my opinion. The UI in the game is clean, not too basic, but not too much. Plus it matches the somewhat futuristic theme this game has. The animation that plays when you heal up a Pokemon in the Pokemon Center is probably the worst one in the series. Like, what is this? Where are the Pokemon at? You cannot turn off autosave. Yeah, it's a weird thing to complain about, but if you're going after certain Pokemon and you like to soft reset your game, it's kinda annoying. I mentioned this before, but the small parkour challenges that you can come across to get the Rainbow Screws is a cool inclusion. The fact you're giving a reward that's actually useful is really nice for progressing in the game. And mind you, these are optional. Visit any restaurant in the game and you and your Pokemon can just sit down and enjoy a nice, peaceful meal. As far as I know, this is the only way you can increase your Pokemon's friendship in the game, which, I don't know, it kind of makes it a bit easier since all you gotta do is just take a seat, leave the table, and go back in for like a few times. The camera mode in this game is probably the best in the series. Not only can you go in first person, but you have much more range when it comes to moving your camera. Do you have a bad throwing arm just like me? Well, don't worry, because whatever Pokemon balls don't get hit by a Pokemon, this guy will catch. There are clever callbacks to previous games, more specifically Legends Arceus. Just go check out the museum, it's probably one of the best areas in the game. Okay, during the making of this video, we got a trailer for the upcoming Mega Dimensions DLC, which comes out in December. We already knew the DLC was gonna involve new Mega Evolutions in Hoopa. Speaking of Hoopa, I recently watched the Hoopa movie, which was a blast, and I can't wait to see what this DLC has to offer. Perhaps it will fix my issue with the whole game taking place in a city and allow us to travel to new cosmic worlds. Okay, I can't wait anymore. Let's watch it.
5 minutes later.
Oh, for God's sakes. Okay, I'll be fair. Maybe there's more worlds to explore when the DLC comes out, but oh my God, I can never escape the city. Follow me, set me free. Trust me and we will escape from the city. Hey, wait a minute. Is that Pokemon over level 100? Holy Magikarp, this might actually be interesting. They also show off Mega Baxcalibur and Chimecho. Going by what the trailer is showing us, maybe this is a new mode? Depending on what donuts we feed Hoopa, he might randomly generate a dungeon. It's honestly hard to tell, because not only is there Pokemon over level 100, but there's also a point system and some Pokemon trainers, so guess I have to wait till the DLC comes out. I'm gonna be honest when I say it took time for me to get used to the music. Like what I mean is I had to step away from the game and listen to the music on its own. And I can proudly say the music is good. Lumino City has one theme that plays during the day, but not only is it long, but it's kinda catchy. It fits the vibe of just walking around in public. At night, it's kind of the reverse, where the music is a bit more somewhat intense. And that does make sense, because reminder, that's where the battle zones take place. I think the only theme that really caught my eye, or ear to be more specific, was Jason's theme. Now that I think about it, the theme that plays during the Rogue Mega Evolution battles is kinda intense and it fits the battles as well. Once we become rank A in the ZA Royale, that's when the stakes of the plot get unleashed. You see, the reason Pokemon are going rogue is because AZ built an Ainge that was corrupted by Mega Power. Now we need to use Mega Floetta to control the tower. Tawny decides to take one for the team, however things go wrong and now the city is filled with rogue Mega Evolutions. I'm gonna be honest when I say I like this act in the game. There's something about seeing all the characters work together for a final battle that just I have a soft spot for. Everyone is working together to try to get you to Zygarde so we can take on the final boss. The Rust Syndicate especially do the most since they all stack up into a ladder so we can reach Zygarde. I especially love how if you somehow fall, they'll just go like, dude, are you serious? The battles here are really rough, but that might just be because I was a bit underleveled. We eventually reach Zygarde and he reached his 100% form, and now it's time to take on the final boss. I'm not gonna lie though, I thought the fight was somewhat disappointing. Your job is to take out these 2 flowers so Zygarde can get a good hit on the boss, and you repeat that at least 3 times. There's a part where Zygarde will come in the battlefield and protect you from a hit, but other than that, the fight's kinda boring. It's not a bad fight, I just feel like it was a bit disappointing. I feel like it could have been a bit better if we only had to take out the flowers once and Zygarde can be in a proper phase 2 where we're controlling him. But whatever. After we take him out, we see our efforts were not good enough. But with a last ditch effort, we managed to Mega Evolve Zygarde and sweet mother of Arceus, bro's packing heat. We finally saved Luminos. Seeing his mistakes are finally put to an end, AZ sadly passes away. So that was Pokemon's Legends ZA. There's some good and there's some bad. While I enjoyed my playthrough, I'll be honest and say it's not going to be for everyone. I was actually playing this game with my little bro for a short time. He's actually more of a Pokemon fan than I am. In fact, he's the reason I started checking out the games. He was playing the game for at least a few hours, but then he stopped because he was disappointed with the issues I listed in this video. I completely agree when it comes to the complaints for this game. But if by chance you enjoyed this game, good. Just be happy. Before I wrap things up, there is some post-game. The AZ Royale becomes infinite, but I haven't really messed with that. I'm too busy trying to get the shiny charm. There's also the many side quests I have to do, and hey, there's a new Diancie quest that's been added. Finally, I can put this video to an end, and geez, I am tired. Here are the current subscribers a part of the membership. If you want to become a member and get certain perks such as getting a shout out or early access to certain videos, check out the membership. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching and let me know what you guys think of this game. Now, if you don't mind, I'm gonna go play Kirby's Air Riders. I've been waiting too long for this game. See ya. Bye.